In Ecuador, a judge ordered the imprisonment of the 6 Colombian nationals arrested as alleged perpetrators of the assassination of the presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio. The people in Argentina mobilized to protest the murder of journalist and social leader Facundo Morales at the hands of the police of the autonomous city of Buenos Aires. And the Syrian authorities confirmed that more than 20 military troops were killed in a terrorist attack in the east of the country. Hello from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is from the south. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. In Ecuador, the court has ordered the prisoning of the 6 Colombian nationals arrested as suspected authors of the assassination of the presidential candidate. On Thursday night, on the basis of the elements of conviction presented by the prosecution during the trial, the court decided to imprison the 6 men arrested by the national police a few hours after the attack against Fernando Villavicencio in Quito, the capital of the country. Judicial investigations will be carried out in a 30-day period. Ecuador has asked for cooperation from Colombia, which has confirmed an extensive police dossier. Ecuador's Minister of Defense, Luis Lara Jaramillo, warned in a press conference on Thursday that the mafias have declared a war on the Latin American nation and that the armed forces and the state will respond with all their power to defend the country. The minister also informed that the armed forces will be deployed throughout the country to guarantee the electoral process.
The mafias have declared war on Ecuador and that the state and the armed forces will respond with all their power. To confront the murderers, their accomplices, those who finance them, and those who protect them. You can be sure that the armed forces will act with a firm hand against military groups, against hired killers, against terrorists. The country is facing a decisive battle to protect democracy, security, and peace in the face of the brutal threats of transnational crime, drug trafficking, and terrorism. The armed forces have begun the immediate deployment of their troops throughout the national territory in order to guarantee their presence in every city and in every parish, and they will remain there until the conclusion of the electoral process.
And the president of the National Council of Ecuador, Diana Tamaint, urged citizens to comply with the electoral exercise that will have the support of the armed forces to guarantee the security of the elections.
To go out to vote because with the support of the armed forces and the national police, we guarantee that these elections will be held safely, peacefully, and that we can decide at the polls the new authorities for which we are called to elect.
Likewise, Diana Tamaint indicated that the replacement of deceased candidates can be done before the election.
The law set forth in Article 112 regarding the death of a candidate establishes that the replacement must follow the due process, as it is that once the political organization requests the instruction of the new candidate, the political organizations must be notified and they have the right to file objections, and then the resolution may be subject to objections and challenges, and even appeals before the competent electoral court. This must be complied with by legal mandate, and we will wait, as it is also determined by law that the candidate might be replaced until before the election. We will be respectful of these deadlines, of these legal considerations, so that the plenary may know the replacement of the candidate.
The President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, regrets the assassination of the presidential candidate of Ecuador, Fernando Villavicencio. The President said that for the moment he will not comment on the motives for the event because there are no elements to confirm the causes of the assassination. He also stressed that in these cases one must act responsibly and seriously in order not to make accusations lightly.
We are very sorry for this incident, and we send our condolences to the relatives of candidate Villavicencio, also to the people of our brother country of Ecuador. These are very difficult and regrettable moments, and also very painful, reprehensible events. We suffered them. We suffered them when Luis Donaldo Goloso was murdered. Many must remember those sad moments of fear. That is why we are very sorry that this has happened in Ecuador.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Argentina, organizations and social movements announced on Friday a day of mobilization to reject the murder of the journalist and social leader Facundo Morales at the hands of the police of the autonomous city of Buenos Aires. On Thursday, social organizations carrying out a political act in downtown Buenos Aires were intercepted and repressed by the police forces, who ended up killing journalist and political activist Facundo Morales Schoenfeld, a member of the leftist organization Popular Rebellion. Images in social media show Morales Schoenfeld being held down against the floor by the police, an action that caused him a heart attack that ended his life. After the death was confirmed, union leader Eduardo Belliboni called for mobilizations on Friday right where Morales died to repudiate the actions of the city police, as well as the statements made by the city mayor and the presidential candidate Horacio Rodríguez Larreta, who expressed his support to the police's actions. And the Argentine army announced that more than 85,000 troops will be deployed to guard the 17,432 voting centers and the 108,000 polling stations during the open, simultaneous and mandatory primary elections. Authorities informed that a Hercules C-130 aircraft, 12 helicopters, 3 boats and around 100 horses will also be used to transport the ballot boxes and the material to each place of the country. The troops will have the function of coordinating and executing the necessary security measures established by the National Electoral Code for fair and transparent elections. In Uruguay, the Central Workers Union PIT-CNT approves the plebiscite against the Social Security reform approved by Luis Lacallepu's government in April this year. After a meeting of the Representative Board, the Central Workers Union will call for the collection of signatures with the purpose of going to a popular consultation and seeking to modify the lowering of the retirement age from 65 to 60 years old and the elimination of the Pension Savings Fund administrator. They will also seek to establish a minimum retirement above the poverty line. Russia launched a Soyuz rocket carrying a probe to the moon on Friday, kicking off its first mission to the celestial body in nearly 50 years. According to live images broadcast by the Russian space agency Roscosmos, the rocket with the Luna 25 probe lifted off at 2:10 a.m. Moscow time from the Vostochny Cosmodrome. The probe aims to touch down in the moon's polar region by August 21st. Luna 25 is the first moon probe made in modern Russia, entirely from domestic components. The USSR launched 24 official Luna missions between September 1958 and August 1976. Luna 25 is equipped with instruments for analyzing the lunar soil, the plasma and dust components for the presence of rare minerals. The designated lunar fall site near the Bogulovsky crater, and the mission is scheduled to run for 1 year. And the chairman of the Russian VTB Bank, Andrew Kostin, discussed with President Vladimir Putin the real-world test launch of a new digital ruble across 13 banks. The system, which will allow international transactions in national currencies, it must mostly be tested in Asian countries, which, according to Kostin, are friendly to Russia today.
The digital ruble is being launched under the leadership of the central bank. 13 banks are participating in this. This is although not an experiment. This is, in general, the introduction of the digital ruble into practice. We know that there is a digital yuan. We are also working on this basis. Therefore, I think that this and next year we will see much a rapid transition to settlements in national currencies in the countries of the so-called Global South, that is, in the developing states, the states that are friendly to us today.
Now we move on to other topics. In Hawaii, wildfires have left a trail of destruction on the island of Maui, killing an estimated 55 people and forcing thousands to flee their homes. The blazes, which continued to rage on Thursday, appear to have devastated the historic center of Lahaina, the one-time capital of the former Kingdom of Hawaii. While damage was still being assessed, witnesses said several significant sites appeared to have been consumed by the flames. Aerial footage of Lahaina showed the town nearly engulfed in flames. Videos on social media captured smoldering remains downtown with cars and storefronts melted. In Norway, more than 4,000 people were evacuated in the south and east of the country due to downpours and floods brought by Hurricane Hans, reported the television channel NRK. According to that TV channel, only the inland region, located north of Oslo, about 1,300 inhabitants were assisted. The Civil Protection Department used helicopters to help evacuate the inhabitants of the areas affected by the floods. teleSUR English launches its own videos-on-demand site for you to go and revisit our interviews, the top stories, the special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner in our website homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. And now we will have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The government of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi defeated a no-confidence motion in Parliament on Thursday after a fiery speech by the Premier at the climax of a three-day debate. Opposition lawmakers who had brought the motion over months of ethnic violence in Manipur state walked out of the chamber, prompting a furious rebuke from the Premier, with the government then winning the vote. According to local press, the walkouts included Congress Party leader Rahul Gandhi, who on Wednesday accused Modi's government of trying to burn the whole country.
Many people have lost their family members. Grave crimes have been committed against women. I want to assure that the guilty will not be spared and will be strictly punished. The center and state government is together making efforts. We will together find a solution to this challenge, and peace will prevail again. I assure you that in Manipur, all efforts will be made to expedite the pace of development of Manipur.
And the Syrian authorities confirmed that more than 20 military personnel were killed in a terrorist attack in the east of the country. The military source that offers the information assures that the events occurred in the city of Deir ez-Zor, when the soldiers were allegedly traveling in buses. It does not specify the number of wounded or survivors, nor those responsible for the attack, and official sources indicate that they are the terrorist groups of the province of Raqqa. The Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi will participate in the BRICS summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, and the Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian confirmed on Thursday during his visit to the country. Earlier, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa invited his Iranian counterpart to participate in the Friends of BRICS meeting. In response to his colleague's invitation, Mr. Raisi will visit South Africa in the coming days. The BRICS summit will be held on August 22nd to 24th in the African city of Johannesburg and will be attended by the leaders of Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. Ivory Coast's President Alassane Ouattara said Thursday that the West African leaders have approved the deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger. Ouattara did not provide details on the force to be deployed or the timetable for action against the military forces and the officers who seized the control of Niger 2 weeks ago. The Ivory Coast's president informed on his return from the ECOWAS Emergency Summit in Nigeria that the chiefs of the staff will have other conferences to finalize the things, but they have the bloc's agreement to start the operation as soon as possible. ECOWAS Commission President Omar Touray also informed about the creation of the bloc's standby force to bring together order back in Niger.
Committee of the Chiefs of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately.
And the leaders have made it clear that they are taking their responsibility and acting in accordance with their own plans and intentions. It is not that they have anything against any country or any people. This is a regional position.
In Nigeria, 21 people were killed after a gunman attack early on Thursday. According to Nigerian authorities, attacks by gunmen were reported in the central state of Plateau, leaving 21 dead and 7 wounded. Likewise, several resources indicated that the state of Plateau, there are frequent clashes between farmers who fight for control of fertile land and water sources. For its part, the non-governmental organization Peace Media Network pointed out that the acts of violence in this territory threaten values such as peace, harmony, and national unity. And the president of the Central African Republic, Faustin Archange Touadéra, in an exclusive interview granted to AFP and the TV5 Monde in the capital Bangui, referred to the security situation in the country and the assistance provided by strategic partners such as the Russian Federation.
Restore peace and security throughout the country. Of course, we have our challenges. We have our financial difficulties, but we have relationships with our partners who support us. The government, with the support of the international community, a number of partners, the Russian Federation and Rwanda, as well as others. So we are working to restore peace in the country. There has been a lot of progress on the security front. We were told that 80% of the country was occupied by armed groups. Today, that is not the case.
He also spoke about the crisis in Sudan and the arrival in the Central African Republic of refugees fleeing the conflict. He appealed to the international community to help ensure the safety of the refugees.
We're watching what is happening in Sudan, and our hope is that this neighboring country will return to peace. And we're working for reconciliation and for the situations to stabilize in Sudan. Because there are consequences for the population, and these consequences have an impact on our populations. Many of our Sudanese brothers have taken refuge, as you mentioned, in the Central African Republic. Obviously, we are having problems finding rapid solutions for our people and for the refugees. That's why we're asking for the international community's support on this issue, because more than 15,000 people are already displaced in areas that are difficult to access.
And violence in the South African city of Cape Town appeared to have eased after a week-long minibus taxi strike that paralyzed the city and left 5 dead, including a British tourist. Drivers of minibus taxis, the main mode of transport for millions of working-class South Africans, blocked multiple roads in a strike that began last Thursday as a result of clashes with city authorities. The South African National Taxi Council called for the action of a new law giving the city the power to impound vehicles over offenses such as driving without a license, not displaying registration plates, or overloading. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.